Hi everyone, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here with a bit of Sunday lunch. So yeah, amazingly, the UK has managed to go 2 whole days of sunshine and no rain. It hasn't stopped raining since January, I think. It's been absolutely awful spring so far. But we had a lovely day yesterday. It's holding out so far. I think tomorrow the rain's back, but for now, I'm gonna pretend it's summer. You can see t-shirt is out. It's sort of really about 2021, but it's the best it's been in a really long time. So the UK is just full of people frantically mowing lawns and washing cars and doing all those outside jobs. So of course, I'm indoors doing this. But hey, I did mow my lawn this morning, though. Not that you said that, but yeah, I was out there first thing before the pollen count gets too high because I was suffering yesterday. So swings and roundabouts, as always. So anyway, enough of that nonsense. Let's crack on. What have I been watching and what am I looking forward to this week? So let's have a little look-see. Yeah, so wow, this seems to be really dividing people, I have to say. Fallout, based on the Bethesda games. Now, anybody who's watched this channel for a long time knows I am not a gamer. I am absolutely hopeless. I am worse than Gary from No Way. I try, I enjoy them. I'm fine like arcade games where I've got a gun and I can point and shoot. I'm quite a good shot, but anything with a controller, I'm just awful, and I try so hard, and it just takes me a lifetime. So, not unsurprisingly, I've never played these games, and kind of what I'm sort of seeing, or on good old Twitter and X, I think it's the usual split between people who have played the games, know the canon, know the storyline, and us normies. So apologies up front. I can only review it as a show. I know nothing about the game. So I'm sure my review won't please some people. And look, I get it. Anybody follows this channel, the things that I follow. I'm a real stickler for canon and all those things. You can see my 3-body problem review and my recent First Omen review. And I get it. It's so annoying. It's really annoying. But like I say, I can only judge this on what I've seen and as a TV show. So, disclaimer. So, what did I think? I actually enjoyed it. I'm sorry. I know it's going to be, well, it was made for you normies. And I'm sure it absolutely was. I get it. But I have to say, I didn't have any expectations for this. Obviously, it's Amazon for one, and Nolan and his wife, who gave us a cracking season 1 of Westworld, and then it went off a cliff when Nolan stepped back, and then his wife Lisa took over, and it just became absolute woke nonsense. It was shocking. I gave up after season 1. I tried to watch season 2. It was absolutely abysmal. Sorry, I'm just checking. Jonathan Nolan, yeah. So it's Jonathan Nolan and his wife Lisa. They also done The Peripheral, which I quite enjoyed. It was quite close to the book, but initially it got renewed for a second season. Then that cancellation went away. Then they cancelled it. Not enough viewers, but so their stuff seems to be a bit hit and miss. So yeah. So anyway, I mean, I thought it had a cracking first episode. The whole setup, and I really enjoyed this kind of the 19 sort of. It's the 90. Obviously, it's the 1950s, but it's not our history. 1950s. It's very similar. But obviously the sort of paranoia in the 50s of the MacArthur era and the communism and the atomic bomb and all of that. So you've got this company, Voltec, who are selling spaces in these vaults, basically. So if the worst happens, you can carry on living underground quite safely. And each episode, we learn more about the backstory of Voltec and who Voltec are. And in the 50s, we sort of see this lead character. He's an actor who played a cowboy on TV, and his wife works for Voltec. But we sort of see him a bit on his uppers. In the first episode, he's basically performing at a kid's birthday party. He's there with his daughter, and you know, he's getting a bit of grief from, you know, there's always that in everything now. You get that one asshole man who's just a dick to everybody, and you know, he's the father of the kid, and he's successful and doing well, and sort of, you know, making jibes and whatnot. And we kind of as the party's going on, they sort of have the TV in the background, and you can hear them talking about escalations and war, you know, the political climate and what's going on. And then as the birthday party's kind of wrapping up, the little girl's talking to her dad and, you know, sort of asking about, you know, is something bad, you know, are we going to go to war? Is something bad coming? And he tries to reassure her. And then basically there's an atomic blast. And he grabs her and he rides off. And of course, everybody starts panicking. And being rich, they've got like an atomic fallout shelter under the house, and they go to the house, and then there's another family they invited, and they won't let them in, and they're all fighting. And he basically puts his daughter on a horse because obviously he's a cowboy, so he rides off with his daughter, and then more atomic blasts start going off. And then we cut to the vaults and life in the vaults, and we're introduced to Vault 33, where they will like grow crops, and everybody's like the pinnacle of human beings. You know, we're all they've been underground for like 200 years, and they're sort of there. So at the point where the surface has the radiation has gone enough that they'll go back up top and they'll repopulate. Basically, that's their mission in life. So they're all obviously educated, they're taught certain histories, and the whole point is restarting again. Then as this sort of goes along, there's a whole point where the lead character, Lucy, they have certain rules, and she volunteers to basically like married at first sight, marry someone from Vault 32, got 31, 32, 33, and because she hasn't been able to find someone compatible in their vault, or certainly not that she's not related to, like the gene pool's getting too small. So it gets to prove that she can sort of, you know, and this seems to be quite normal, because obviously one of the main things is, you know, breeding to restart the population. So they've been brought up to be like, you know, you kind of get paired up and off you go, you know, kind of thing. So we have this all lovely planning for the wedding, and she has this wedding dress, and in the inside of the wedding dress is all these names written in it that people got married, and it's all going great. And they go to the doors, and they have these key holders, and they open up the doors, and they meet the people from 32, have this lovely wedding, and they go back to their room and consummate marriage, shall we see? And then you sort of see he's like covered in scars, and you know, he's very sort of rough and not what you'd expect from someone in the vaults. And they all wear these devices on their hand that sort of gives them information and tells them, and it also has a Geiger counter in it. She basically realizes that he's super radioactive, and they realize that he's from the surface and he's a raider. And next thing you know, all hell breaks loose in the vault, and people are being killed. And these fight scenes, I have to say, all the fight scenes that they've done like throughout the show, are really, I really enjoyed them. Yeah, there's some like slow mo, but it's pretty violent. And there's a bit of this woman, this heavily pregnant woman, gets like a fork in her eye, and then she picks up a gun and just blasts everybody down. And what we find is that the raiders have come. They wanted something from the vault. And Lucy's father, who's played by Carl McLaughlin, he is taken. He's like, basically, you know, they're given this ultimatum, and he's taken hostage. So Lucy then goes to the sort of council that they have, saying, like, you know, we need to go get my father. And they're like, no, it's too dangerous. You know, nobody goes up top. You know, it's all radioactive. You can't go up there. It's too dangerous. We'll just have to move on and sort of sacrifice him, kind of thing. Lucy decides to go against this, and with the help of her brother and her cousin, who's in love with her, is all a bit odd, help her. Well, basically, he's the cousin's the key holder, so they open the main door and she goes out. Then there's like some stupid stuff, you know, she comes out, she looks around, she doesn't even check for radiation or anything like that. She just wanders off in a direction. You have no idea which direction they went in. And obviously the whole character is meant to be incredibly naive. You know, she's grown up in this very safe environment where there's no real violence and everybody respects everybody. Nobody even swears or cusses or anything. And their whole lives are very controlled. So some of it is like, yeah, you've got that she is naive, but she also borderlines on just being stupid. And she learns very, very quickly, like, not to be able to trust people. But she also finds out very quickly that there are people on the surface, and people have been living on the surface for a very long time, which is not what they were led to believe. We're in this episode, we're introduced to this ghoul. So there seems to be a chemical that can reanimate people, and they effectively do, and then they have to keep taking this chemical to remain functioning, I guess is the best way I can describe it. Otherwise they do just degenerate into flesh-eating zombies effectively. So this thing sort of keeps their brain working as it should, and they can talk and interact, and they're, you know, they can control themselves. So we're also introduced to the Brotherhood, who are a group of sort of soldiers, Marines almost, who try and find old tech to try and get the technology back, and basically get rid of the ghouls, because they sort of see them as abominations, and anything that's sort of genetically mutated, you've got the abominations. And from that we're introduced to Maximus, who's a squire. So you had the knights who are all in the big armor, and then there's squires. We don't learn a massive amount about them, other than they're not very nice, I guess. Or they used to be like the sort of they sort of heroes and saviors, and they try and, you know, rescue people, and they get brought into the Brotherhood and stuff. But over the years, it's sort of got a little bit warped and twisted, and they've kind of lost their way a bit. So the three lead characters here, we've got Lucy, say she's from the Vault, you've got Maximus, who's from the Knights, and you've got the ghoul, who is basically the cowboy. And we've learned quite quickly that the cowboy is the cowboy from 200 years before, who was the actor. And as we go through the show, we flip backwards and forwards between current and the sort of the 1950s and the lead up to the war, and we learn more about the actor's life and his family and his wife. And his wife Barb works for Vault-Tec, and, you know, he has a view that, you know, he loves his wife, and he thinks, you know, she's doing a really good job and she's doing good things for humanity. And by the time we get to the end of the season, she's not as nice as you think she is. Or she basically, well, not so she's not nice, but her views are quite warped around, you know, how the Vault-Tec basically come up with the only way to stop war is to cause a nuclear war, and then everybody in the vaults, and then when we all come back from the vaults, we'll repopulate, and that war will be over, because there's only one faction, and whenever you've got more than one faction, it's human nature, we're going to fight. And that's their logic. So over the course of the season, we find out what's going on in the vaults, how the vaults came about, what's in each of the vaults, what's in 33, what's in 32, and most importantly, what's in 31. And I was really intrigued by this bit of the storyline. You kind of like, what's going on in 31? They have these elections for overseers, and her brother, who stayed behind, starts investigating, like something doesn't quite sit right. And when he looks back at all the elections of the overseer, every single time the overseer that's voted for is always from Vault 31. including his father. His father's from Vault 31. And we find out that Lucy and her brother's mother died when they were very young in they said a plague or a drought that happened. And all this unravels. So you'll see characters here, but also existed 200 years in the past. So you're like, well, how are they still alive? And how is all this hanging together? So I found it quite intriguing. I mean, there's some really silly stuff in here. There's a couple of episodes that dip a little bit, but I thought overall it was pretty solid. It hangs together really well. So I think it's unusual that, I mean, Amazon dropped it in one go where they normally do things weekly. So I think everybody's impression was that they weren't expecting this to do that well. I don't know whether it didn't test very well or just a track record of Jonathan Nolan and Lisa recently. I don't know. But I know it's currently #1 on Prime here in the UK. I've seen quite a lot of people who really like this, but the people who played the game seem to hate it. Fair play, not going to knock you. Like I say, I'm a complete normie. And if it was made for normies, I think, tick, they've done a good job. I mean, I could completely follow what was going on. I understand all the dynamics. I understand the ghouls. I understand the knights. I understand the vaults. And like I say, I think they've done enough sort of like, intrigue or sort of mystery box, but actually pretty much by the end of the season, the mystery box have been opened, which is great, that you kind of know what's going on and what's the secret, and sort of leads up to quite a good, strong season 2, actually. So it is very violent. I mean, the guns that they have, like when they just literally just called people heads to explode, and the final fight at the end was really good, really well done, and how it all kind of unraveled. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good fun. I thought it was entertaining. The lead character Lucy isn't woke. She isn't a Mary Sue. She's flawed. If I think she's quite stupid, and not stupid, that's unfair. Like I say, she's incredibly naive, but she does make some really stupid decisions, and it takes her a long time to sort of figure out the world. And I think most people in that situation would get up to speed a hell of a lot quicker. But I think the whole thing is trying to sort of say that, as soon as you go up, having ideals is one thing, but self-preservation is another. And she's got to toughen up, and you can't always be completely honest, and you can't, it's a different world. So it's really her hanging on to her values and her humanity and what she's believed in her whole life, versus surviving up top and again doing the right thing. So what is right? So what she's been brought up to believe turns out to be, a lot of it turns out to be a lie. So where does she go from there? So but how they left it with her and her father and the ghoul, and then Maximus, what's happening with the knights is really, I'd say, pretty solid set up to season 2. So yeah, I mean, I think if you like I think I can't say it's a good game adaptation because I don't know, but I have to say I really enjoyed it. I think the main thing is it was just fun, and like I say, it wasn't full of loads of politics. I will say episode 6, there was some really I took it as solid digs at like woke Hollywood and sort of what's going on there, and celebrities being so politicized and telling us what they think about that. It seems, I mean, I took it as just quite some solid digs in there. I was like, whoa, hey ho. So yeah, that was quite interesting, but it's not full. There's no like modern politics in there. And I think, it's very anti-communist, which is quite interesting as well, given where we are in Hollywood right now. Excuse me. Yeah, so I'd say, I guess if you're a big fan of the game, I don't know whether you can sort of detach yourself to watch it and enjoy it. If you've never watched the game, but you kind of like action, bit of dark comedy, bit of sort of thriller mystery, I think you'll really enjoy it. And it may be just that, we're just starved of just anything that's sort of remotely decent right now, that maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed this as much as I did if we had like more choice. But I literally watched it in a couple of days. So I was quite intrigued by it. I wanted to know where the story was going to go. So I think overall they've done a pretty solid job. The effects are pretty solid. I think sometimes with the knights when they're in the armor, it does look like they're kind of on a wire, but otherwise, but building out this post-apocalyptic world, like pretty much everything's in the desert and it's set in California, and obviously the Hollywood piece, and I'm at the end of this season, and I think that's different to the game, I believe, but at the end of this season, it introduces us to Vegas, so we've got a different location potentially for season 2 if it goes ahead. But I just thought it was really good fun. Just really good fun. The writing's pretty good. It's the main thing for me. I wasn't, I didn't feel I was being preached at, and it wasn't like they say it's really not woke at all. Which had the absolute risk of having a female lead. And things, I think she's more of a strong female lead in what I'd call the traditional way, like sort of strength of character. She gets thrown around, she gets beaten up, she gets treated pretty badly in this. But like I say, she starts to sort of find her way. So I thought she was there. Yeah, I mean, some of her decisions were a bit naff, but and I think the weakest character in it is Maximus. It's almost like they couldn't quite decide how to play him, because he seemed quite sort of psychotic at the beginning. He was rescued by the Knights when he was a child. During where there was more fighting or an outbreak. You'll find out more as the show goes on. What his backstory is, but 1 minute, he's quite sort of psychotic and angry at the world. Then he's sort of quite soft, and him and Lucy end up having a bit of a chemistry, a bit of a thing there. But yeah, I think it just felt like they couldn't quite decide how to play his character. But I think he did evolve and his character did get better by the end of it. But he's a little bit, he's probably the least developed out the characters. But maybe they wanted to leave it open. I don't know. See how this season went. But his character was definitely better towards the end than at the beginning. He was a bit difficult to get behind. But anyway, but really solid performances from all the others. Yeah. So anyway, Fallout. Go have a look. Tell me what you think. I'm sure you'll tell me if you hate it, and it's absolutely fine if you do. Like I say, you might see my rants on the 3-body problem. So absolutely hear you if this is completely buggered up your canon and your source material. But I think it's a good show for normies. Sorry. Saying how I see it, as always. So moving on. Yeah, so as I said, I wanted to go see American Fiction at the cinema, but unfortunately it's one of those sort of films that seems to be on for a week and then it's gone again. It's available on Amazon Prime here in the UK as part of your package. So I finally got to watch this a couple of weeks ago, but it's the first opportunity I've had to talk about it. It's quite an interesting film, actually. It's not the film you think it's going to be, or certainly not the film I thought it was going to be based on the trailers. I mean, the trailers heavily obviously leans into the whole comedy aspect of the film, and obviously we've got this black writer who writes classics, very well educated, just wants to write the things he wants to write, but he just can't get published because the only stories that they want are authentic black stories. Which is this kind of, and I think it's one of the big criticisms of Hollywood at the moment. We obviously know DEI is a massive hot potato right now, and what's going on, and Disney, etc. So it really does shine a sort of spotlight on, stereotyping and what is a black voice and what is an authentic black story, that what we can only tell stories of black people. Or it's like we've had for years that there's tropes that black characters in shows, they can only ever play pimps or drug dealers or this, or negative characters, and obviously a lot's been done to do that. So now you can't actually write a black person in a negative light. They've gone so far the other way, but you can write or all the stories and things getting made are written by black people, but again, they're all stereotypes that they're from single parent families, and there's drugs and gangs, and like everybody's from the hood and everybody has this gritty backstory. Not that, whereas he's like, from a successful family, his sister's a doctor, I think his brother's an actor, I think, and went to Harvard or whatever, all well educated. So he just gets so fed up of what he's seeing around him that he decides to write a book under a pseudonym, and he just makes a load of stuff up from various shows and things that he's been watching, about this sort of black story from about this guy getting into gang violence and all of that. And of course the book gets snapped up, and then this sort of snowball happens, that the book gets snapped up, then the film rights get snapped up, and he gets asked to be a judge on a panel for like book of the year, and then his own book is then in the mix, but he can't say because obviously he's written it under a pseudonym. And it sort of gets out of control. So he has an initial title for the book, and then he ends up changing the name of the book to basically fuck, to try and put people off, but all the sort of white middle class producers and all that going, oh, it's amazing, it's so authentic, it's so gritty and stunning and brave and all of this. So no matter what he does, this snowballs, yet this is out of control. So, and the aspects around that are really, there's some really funny pieces, and the guy who plays the lead character, I think he got nominated for an Oscar, it was brilliant in it, and he has his own foibles and stuff. But what I actually really liked about this film, and say that it's not the film that you think it is so you got two stories running. So it's also about him and his family. So we find at the beginning he's a little bit estranged from his family, doesn't really have a lot to do with them, and then because he's not getting published and stuff, and he's sort of a bit down on his uppers, and he reaches out to his sister and goes sees his sister, who's a successful doctor, like fertility doctor, and they start chatting and getting a bit closer again, and then while they're at lunch, she collapses, and unfortunately she passes away, and this results in him having to sort of go see his mother. I believe his father's already passed away, and then him and his brother, and sort of get a bit closer to his family again. And the whole piece and the whole part of the reason why the book sort of this whole piece about the book spiraling out of control is that you find out that his mum's got like dementia or Alzheimer's, and he needs money to be able to put her in a home or get her the proper care that she needs, because her condition's deteriorating to the point that it's not safe for her. And so you've got this really sort of touching, and also, anybody that has dementia in their family, as I do, it's very sad to watch. You're slowly losing this person, and when you get flashes of them with their personalities there and they're there, it's absolutely amazing. But 30 seconds later or the next day you go, they're not there, and they can be quite nasty and quite violent. So you kind of got this whole dynamic that he's trying to have enough money. His brother's I'm pretty sure he's an actor, but he's like, he was married with kids, but then has come out, his wife catches him in bed with a man, and it all comes out that he's actually gay. And now he's sort of having this midlife crisis, or this kind of, he's going around just sort of sleeping with as many men as possible, so almost going through his teenage years. Now he's gay kind of thing, and he's taking drugs. He's like out of control. So he's trying to deal with his brother. They've just lost their sister, and you've got this heartbreaking story about his mother, with this whole layer of comedy over the top, holding up a massive lens to, how the whole kind of craziness of as I said, DEI, and how black people are treated, this whole, you're not black enough kind of thing within their own community. So the whole thing is handled really well, though. I really enjoyed this film. Like I say, it's not the film that you think it is. It's not start to finish, just balls to the wall comedy. But I think the tone's done really well, because, like I say, it's quite a hard subject, talking about dementia and stuff, and family dynamics. But it is offset with the humour around him pretending to be someone from the hood. It's absolutely hilarious. So I do recommend this film. I think it is probably one to watch at home, to be fair, than going to the cinema. But it's free on Prime, so Sunday afternoon, go check it out. Again, let me know what you think. I think very well acted, well written. I really enjoyed it. Something a little bit different. Yes. Now, obviously, these trailers dropped weeks ago, and I can't believe I've not had the chance to talk them. What a great kickoff! What a great campaign! Which team are you? You team green? Are you team black? Obviously, we're team black. Come on. The first season was just brilliant. I mean, I think nobody had high expectations after season 8 of Game of Thrones. And as I've said many times, I've not watched Game of Thrones, but I did watch House of the Dragon because everybody said, well, it's the prequel. You don't need to know what went on, and to be better to go into it blind. So that's what I've done. I mean, Matt Smith is just phenomenal anyway. He's a superb actor. And I just wish he's just been so unlucky with the projects that he's picked since leaving Doctor Who. I mean, on paper, they all should have been massive hits. Unfortunately, it's just not panned out that way until we got to House of the Dragon. And he is just brilliant in it as a Daemon. And it was one hell of an ending at the end of season 1 that, war was basically about to break out. I love the marketing campaign for this and the 2 trailers and, watch which team you're on. We've not really seen anything since, which is interesting because they came out of the gate so strong, this massive trailer. It's gone a bit quiet. However, this is due to come out, summer? I think it's June. Now we're in April, so I imagine we should be getting a couple more trailers soon, warming people back up to this is coming. But from what we've seen in those 2 trailers, it looks pretty solid. I am like this, that please let season 2 be as good as season 1. I mean, obviously, we're not going to have Paddy in this one, who was the king, and it was such a strong through story with him, and obviously his deterioration as he's literally got this flesh-eating disease and it was just basically disintegrating. And their misunderstanding when he's dying, and it's like kind of what triggered the war. He sort of said a certain name, and but the quality of the production looks as good as season 1 from what we've seen from the trailer. I'm just hoping, obviously, that the writing is as solid, and they don't try and up the ante to the point that it's stupid, or it's just all dragons and it all gets a little bit, if they keep it as grounded as season 1, I think we're in for a really big treat. I'm so excited about this. And it's great to have a show again dropping weekly that you can look forward to. So this should be good. I think I can't remember if they confirmed if we're getting 3 or 4 seasons. This season is shorter than the previous season, and they've opted to do that so they can turn these seasons around quicker, because obviously we've gone 2 years, and something like this, you need it yearly, because otherwise people are going to lose interest. I mean, it's quite funny, obviously, or pretty obvious, not a big shock to anybody that they're not going head to head. Or the Rings of Power are not going head to head with House of the Dragon this year. Shocker. That's crazily quiet. I mean, we haven't even seen a trailer for it yet. God knows what's going to happen when that turd drops. I mean, granted, I didn't watch the first season. I didn't need to. I just watched everybody else's reviews. And as I said, fantasy's not really my jam. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan. I watched it once. That was enough for me. But let's see. I don't know what's going to be going head to head with this year. We'll soon find out, I guess. But I am very, very excited for this. Fingers crossed all the way. The trailers look amazing. So I'm hoping that my faith is well placed in this for season 2. So again, are you excited? Are you looking forward to it? Leave me a comment. What did you like about season 1? Did you not like season 1? Or are you just not even going there after the disappointment of Game of Thrones? Let me know. Okay. I think it's the last one to talk about. I've seen a few trailers for this. Chaos. So originally, Hugh Grant was meant to be in this and has been replaced by Jeff Goldblum. It's like a modern contemporary telling of sort of Greek gods, and Jeff Bloom is playing Zeus. This is called Chaos, Kaos. So it's kind of like set in modern times, but like people still believe in the Greek gods. So you know, Zeus lives in a massive great mansion. As you can see, he wears tracksuits and lots of bling. Like most gods, you know, he can be benevolent, but he can also be incredibly cruel. And we've kind of got this neurotic, insecure, powerful deity who's having some sort of crisis. He wakes up one morning and realizes he has a wrinkle on his forehead, and that's it, right? You know, he suddenly thinks that everybody's conspiring against him, and he's on the way out. And I think as it transpires, I think there is actually a plot to get rid of him. So his paranoia is actually right, but he doesn't realize, you know. So again, I have no idea whether this is going to be good, bad. I was just quite intrigued. I think Jeff Goldblum plays these types of, these little bit, you know, little bit eccentric, little bit dangerous, a little bit unhinged roles so well. And again, I think if it's meant to be sort of a dark black comedy, I think it could be good. They say anything with Netflix, right? 50-50. But I was just quite intrigued by the trailer. It looked quite funny. Like I say, this right up Jeff Goldblum's street. Now, I originally saw a date for this for March 19th. Obviously, it's not come out. That was on Netflix's Tudum channel. So I don't know why delays or when we're going to get this. It's currently saying coming soon. But the trailer is on YouTube or on the Netflix channel. So go have a look. Again, tell me what you think. Do you think this could be fun? I mean, it could be fun. It could be absolutely dire. I'm more just sort of saying, Jeff Goldblum. I quite like Jeff Goldblum. If he's anything, I think probably like he was in Thor Ragnarok. I think it's that kind of bonkers deity type character. And I thought he was great in Thor Ragnarok, even though the film itself is a bit Marmite for people. But if we get that slightly unhinged Jeff Goldblum, this could be good. Could be good. We'll have to wait and see. So hopefully that's coming soon as well. So that's it. Fairly short and sweet this week, guys. Not had a lot of time to watch much, unfortunately. I was hoping to have watched Anatomy of a Fall. I haven't had time to do that. I'm going to try and get to that one next week. I've only watched the first episode of Parasite the Grey. That was quite good, I have to say. That's Korean drama, one I talked about a few weeks ago. So as it says, parasites, aliens from outer space arrive, take over human bodies, and they then mutate. The first episode, I mean, basically opens like we see one of these parasites take over this man's body at like a rave or something, mutates his body, and then just goes on a massacre. And they have these, like, their heads all like open up, a bit like The Thing, and these tentacles come out, which at the ends of the tentacles like razors, and it's just like slicing through all the crowd, chopping people to bits. So straight in there, as Korean dramas do. So the first episode was pretty good, pretty interesting. We see this girl who's working in a supermarket, and you've got this guy who's this like online troll, clearly really psychotic and mental issues. He takes umbrage to something she says at the checkout. Basically stalks her when she leaves. She's on a moped home. He runs her off the road and brutally stabs her, he thinks, to death. But one of these parasites gets inside her, kills him, but then heals the girl. But the symbiosis thing doesn't work properly because she was so close to death. So she's kind of retained her humanity. This parasite's not been able to take complete control. So she's now sort of investigating these other parasites which have taken people over completely. The police or the government have set up this squad to try and find these parasites, or who's parasite, who's not. So first episode, pretty good, all teed up. I just need to find some time to watch the rest of it. It is dubbed if you don't like subtitles, but I will say for any Korean drama, better to watch them with subtitles, and do give them a go, because you're missing out on some cracking TV and films if you don't give them a go. So that's it. I'm going to go enjoy the sunshine for as long as it lasts, because it's probably here for just a few more hours, and I'm sure it's back to raining next week. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Enjoy, and I'll be back soon. Take care. Bye bye.